Touchdown.
I'm not sold on Mac Jones.
In the red zone, Alabama with 3 minutes and change remaining in the half. Jones fires to the corner. Devontae Smith. Touchdown, Alabama.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm your host, Steve Risser, along with Justin D'Onofrio, and that was just a promo from 4 Downs. They'll be on tonight, recapping the Final Four of college football. Justin, you're going to be on with them, right?
Yes, I believe.
Justin, you'll be on. It'll be Jace, Justin, Ovi, Hector, Sean, and Joe. So, and we saw Joe, and Jay get on Jace about the Mac Jones thing, as we know from this year. But as we start our show, we got a Week 16 is upon us, and we got to start with that. And there's a big game on Christmas Day between the Vikings and the Saints. The Vikings trying to keep their playoff hopes alive, and the slim playoff hopes alive. They really hurt them last week losing to the Bears, and the Saints are 10-4 on a 2-game losing streak. And obviously, knowing this rivalry, which has kind of became a rivalry over the last 2 or 3 years, we know what's happened. Obviously, the Stephon Diggs play in the 2017 divisional round game. The game last year, the Vikings won in overtime. So the Vikings, Mike Zimmer has had the Saints number. He's had Drew Brees and Sean Payton's number, especially in the postseason. This is the big game for the Saints. Vikings still kind of in the playoffs, but not. So I do think the Saints get their revenge in this game. And a big reason why is I think they have a big game from Alvin Kamara. I think it's a big game on the ground. I think the Saints win it 34-24. Why I think they do it is I think Kamara's a big game on the ground. He runs the ball well. I think Brees, yes, he started slowly last week, but got better as the game went on. I think he plays better this week. He gets the ball to Emmanuel Sanders. He gets the ball to Traquan Smith. I do think the Vikings move the ball because they got good personnel on offense. I think Dalvin Cook has a pretty good game. I think Justin Jefferson has a pretty good game. But even though the Vikings have the Saints number, it's not going to be enough. And I got the Saints winning by 10. But I'll ask you this, Justin. We know the Vikings have had the Saints number in the past. Can they continue that and give the Saints their 3rd consecutive loss?
I don't think so. Coming on, short week playing on Friday afternoon. I think the Saints finally get their revenge this time on the Vikings. 3rd time's the charm. And I think, they do enough in the running game with Kamara, Latavius Murray. I think, definitely Brees is definitely going to play better than he did last week. Definitely a rough start for him. Right now I just think the Saints obviously are the better team than Vikings. Vikings don't have a, ton of hope left to make the playoffs. And the Saints do a really good job of stopping the run. And look, we've seen Cousins be able to make plays against the Saints, but in the Saints defense, really, really good. And I think the Saints do enough, and they get to win at home 27-21 at Christmas.
We got 3 Saturday games this week, and it starts with Tom Brady and the Bucs traveling up to Detroit to face the Lions. And this is a game the Bucs should win easy. The Lions defense has been absolutely terrible. Brady should have a big day. They should be able to run the ball with Leonard Fournette. And I got the Bucs winning this by 31-17. Justin, who you got?
Yeah, I got Tampa 34-24. I think the Lions will keep it close early because of the Tampa's defense, but I think eventually the Bucs will pull away and Tampa should cruise to victory.
In the game at 4:30 on Saturday is an NFC West matchup in Arizona. Both these teams have called Arizona home the last couple of weeks because the 49ers can't play out in Santa Clara. So this game, though, I think the Cardinals win it. I think they win it by 2 or 3 scores. I think the Niners are completely banged up. They just signed Josh Rosen yesterday. The CJ Beathard will probably start. They're completely banged up on defense. Deebo Samuel's going to be out for them too. So the Niners just have so many injuries, way too many injuries for them to compete with the Cardinals, who got to keep pace with the Bears for that number 7 seed in the NFC. So I got the Cardinals winning this game 27-10 over the Niners. But Justin, I'll ask you this: can the Niners knock their division rival out of the playoff pick?
I don't think so. It's going to be tough. I got Arizona 28-20. I can see the Niners getting a backdoor or something here. But yeah, I think, with all the injuries, and you can't blame the Niners. I think, you saw last week, they're pretty much just packing it in for the rest of the year. It's been tough. They've been in Arizona last month. I heard too, they're going home for Christmas and then coming back. So be quick turnaround. I don't blame them for wanting to go home, being away for a while. But as long as Arizona doesn't turn the ball over, they should be able to do enough to win this game. I get the I get the Cardinals winning this 28-20. Niners right now, too much of a mess right now with all the injuries they have. They don't have enough.
We got a huge game for the Dolphins on Saturday night as they will head to Las Vegas to face the Raiders. And we know the Raiders, and Justin knows this, they're having their annual collapse just like they did last year. Started off strong, they've been falling apart recently. They should be 6-8 right now because they should have lost that game to the Jets. They shouldn't even have a chance to go into the playoffs, but they still do. They're still 2 games behind the Dolphins. That's why if the Raiders win, they still have slim playoff hopes. But I got the Dolphins winning this game 27-17, and this is why. I think the Dolphins run the ball on the Raiders no matter who plays quarterback. I think Tua has a big game, and I think the Dolphins defense forces a turnover or 2 from Marcus Mariota. So I got the Dolphins going to 10-5, winning 27-17 over the Raiders. But Justin, can Marcus Mariota lead the Raiders to an upset win to keep their really slim playoff hopes alive?
It's gonna be tough. But I got the Dolphins on the road 23-17. I don't even remember Gruden when Mariota was coming out of the draft. He was in love with Marcus Mariota. Woody Gruden used to do like the QB draft room, whatever he used to always do every year.
Oh yeah.
He loved Mariota in that. So I'm actually kind of excited to see what kind of game plan he stirs up for Marcus Mariota. He played well, besides that one interception, where I forgot he threw behind one of his wide receivers.
Yeah, we got a comment from Hector. He hopes it's not a trap game for the Finns, and that could happen. You know, it could be. But I just think the way the Finns are playing right now and the way the Raiders are playing, it's very hard for me, especially with Marcus Mariota. Even though Mariota played well against the Chargers, it's very hard for me to think that the Raiders are going to win this game against the Dolphins.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Last year, the Raiders ended losing 6 out of the last 7. This year, they've now lost 4 of the last 5. Gruden just can't close the door on a season. So yeah, I think the Dolphins. I think the Raiders keep this like really, really close first half and have a chance. And I think Dolphins do enough in the second half to be able to pull out a win. But I'm interested. I actually can't wait to see what Gruden does with Marcus Mariota at quarterback and what he schemes up for him.
Yeah, I mean, he schemed up some pretty good a lot of zone reads last time. We'll see what ends up happening there. But I got the Dolphins winning that one. But before we get into the games in the NFC East, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFC East. And last week, 3 of the 4 teams lost. The only team that picked up ground in the NFC East was the Cowboys as they beat the 49ers. And right now, the Cowboys are in second at 5-9. Redskins lead the division at 6-8, but an unfortunate incident with their quarterback after the game on Sunday. Giants 5-9, they've lost 2 in a row. We don't know what the future of Daniel Jones is going to be. And you look at the Eagles. Obviously, you got the picture now with Dwayne Haskins. We'll get to that. And the Eagles 4-9, 4-9-1 as they competed against the Cardinals, but they lost. But here's the thing. Right now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Even though the Eagles are in last place, I think they win this division. Here's how. I think they beat Dallas, and I think they beat Washington. I think Washington loses to Carolina. I think that the Giants lose to the Ravens, so that's going to give them 10 losses. So that'll give every other team in the division 10 losses. And I think the Eagles, because of the way Jalen Hurts is playing, I know that Washington has a chance, and I would have picked them to win the division if this Haskins incident didn't happen. But the way Washington played, the way Philly's been playing, and the way Jalen Hurts has been playing, I got Philly winning this division at 6-9-1.
Yeah, they are looking pretty good. I still think Washington can do enough. I'll give you my Taylor Heinicke story when we talk about that game.
Yeah.
But Ron Rivera coming up, playing his former team, I think Washington finds a way to win against Carolina. And Taylor Heinicke was on the Panthers last year, so he would love to have a nice little revenge game here. So I think Washington's going to be able to win this week. And I think they'll be able to seal the victory in a very close one. But yeah, the Eagles are playing really well. They, bringing in Jalen Hurts has just been a huge spark for that team. But I think I like Washington defense. I just think their defense is gonna lead them to victory this Sunday, and they'll be able to kind of pretty much wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, Washington has a very good chance to wrap it up. I just don't know what they're going to be like at the quarterback position. I mean, if I don't know what I'm getting at quarterback, it's hard to pick that team to win. Philly right now, you know what you're getting at quarterback. You know you're getting good quarterback play from Dick Chase keeps showing the picture of Dwayne Haskins and the stripper. And here's another one. Well, that's interesting to say at least. Does Dwayne Haskins play this Sunday? That could be a difference maker for Washington. Hector makes a great point. It is a huge difference maker. Even though Haskins isn't good, it would definitely be an upgrade over Taylor. What's that guy's name? Taylor Heineke. Yeah, it would be an upgrade over him. So that's huge. It's a huge making in the NFC East. This situation, which we're going to get to after we talk about the NFC East. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that a team in last place right now, the Eagles, is probably one of the worst records in the NFC. If they can win these last two games and just hope Washington loses, they definitely have a chance to win the division.
Oh yeah, they definitely do because they got Washington next week. So if Washington loses next week, they beat Washington. Washington next week, yeah. They get the division, so they definitely do. I just think the Washington defense is so good, and Teddy's having a pretty good year, but Carolina, battled last week against Green Bay. But I think Washington defense will be able to it's just been so good that they'll be able to make enough stops and they'll be able to create some offense for their from their defense. They'll be able to create some offense by creating some turnovers and all that. And I think they're able to do enough. But like the Eagles are right there, but just the way they're playing. I know Dallas looked good last week, but I'll take Washington just to edge it out, even though without Haskins playing, I still think their defense will lead them to victory.
Yeah, and then we look at the other two teams in the division, the Cowboys and the Giants. You look at the Giants, they got a really tough game against Baltimore this week. That's a brutal game and you got a Baltimore team that needs to win that game to get into the playoffs. A Baltimore team that's been playing well. We're gonna Jace. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. But yeah, a Baltimore team is playing well, so that's gonna be a brutal game for him. And then you look at the Cowboys. They still have, and who would have thought they still have an outside shot at this? I mean, with them playing the Eagles this week and then the Giants next week. So say they win out and they I think it's highly unlikely the Cowboys will win out, but say they win out and Washington loses out, that would be crazy too. So the NFC East is in play for all four for pretty much all four teams right now. Dallas has stayed in the race, winning these last two games. Hector just commented, is Washington's front seven good enough to protect whoever is Washington's front seven good enough to protect whoever's the quarterback to win against Carolina? And I think their front seven is good enough to get pressure and win that game against Carolina. My problem with Washington in that game, though, is who's going to play quarterback. And you look at the Panthers. The Panthers have competed in a bunch of games. The Panthers have competed. I mean, they've lost out of their 10 losses. 8 of those 10 losses have been by one-score games. So Matt Rule has that team playing. So I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina wins the game this week. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if any of these results, if any of these teams win this division, because this division's terrible, number one. And number two, none of these teams, when controlling their own destiny, can do that. So I wouldn't be shocked if any of these 4 teams win the division.
No, me neither. It's just topsy-turvy. It's again something new. There's something new happens every week in this division. Cowboys looked like they were dead in the water. Now they're right back in the picture. Giants looked 2 weeks ago that they were the front runner, and now there's been a lot of question marks. So it's just such a crazy division. It's like who knows? It just seems like whoever takes the lead in this division, they just don't want to hang on to it. They just everyone's just trying to blow it somehow. In the division, it's been one of the worst divisions I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the thing is the beginning of the season, like 3 weeks in, you thought, okay, Dallas is going to figure out a way to win this division because they got Dak Prescott. Then Dak gets hurt, and you're probably like, okay, Philly should win this division because we think Carson Wentz is the best quarterback in this division. But, once the Giants started getting hot, especially after they won that game against the Eagles in week 11, in week 10, you're thinking, okay, the Giants might have a chance to win this division. Then when the Giants beat Seattle, you're like, oh, they got a great chance to win the division. Then Washington upsets Pittsburgh, and you're like, no, they might have a chance. Then last week, you think for sure Washington's got a great chance to win the division, and now you're thinking Philly can win the division. So it's like it's a different team. Like every 2 weeks, you think that can win this division. It's crazy.
It is. It just nobody wants to hang on to it. Washington takes the lead. Haskins gets in trouble. Giants 2 weeks ago look like they could win 7-8 games. Now there's so many question marks. It's just this whole
Jay says the division is a huge game of musical chairs. Exactly. Yeah.
It pretty much is this year. Yeah, I guess it's just 2020. 2020 right now in the NFC. It's just been wacky.
Wacky. Expect the unexpected. That's why I think the Eagles end up winning this thing. Coming from last place in Week 16, they end up winning the division. That's what I think. I think it's 6-9-1 Eagles, 6-10 Giants, 6-10 Washington, 5-11 Dallas. That's my final prediction for the division.
Yeah, I'll go Washington. I think they'll get 7-9. Giants, I think, get the 6-10. I think they knock off Cowboys next week.
Yeah.
Philly 6-9-1, and then Dallas 5-11.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see what happens there. But we got to get to a story in the NFC East, and that's Dwayne Haskins on Sunday. And this is just absolutely disgraceful. I mean, what are you doing? How dumb is this guy? I mean, you just know for sure the Dwayne Haskins era is over in Washington, no matter what happens. How dumb is this guy to be doing what he was doing Sunday night after the game without a mask on? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the Redskins suspend him at all. The Redskins probably should suspend him. Ron Rivera's got to set a culture on this team. And at this point, the Redskins got to be – Washington has got to be done with Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, you would think so. It's unfortunate. But, yeah, you just in this day and age, you just can't be doing stuff like that. It's just, very immature, irresponsible move, what he's doing there Sunday night. Coming off the win, it's not looking good. Again, and I like Ron Rivera, and I think, he definitely wants to set a culture. So, I know, I definitely see him being suspended, and then who knows after that.
And I know Ovi Munoz just says, Ron Rivera dealing with cancer, and he goes to a strip joint. And I agree. This makes no sense. He should be kicked off the team. And honestly, if I'm Washington, I just cut him today. Get him out of here. I mean, seriously. And again, and for Haskins, this is going to ruin your chance to go somewhere else and resurrect your career. Like, if you look at a guy like a Sam Darnold, he's a guy that, yes, if the Jets move on from Sam Darnold, if the Jets don't want to have Sam Darnold be their quarterback anymore, he's going to get a chance somewhere else, maybe at a Pittsburgh or a San Francisco, because he's a good guy who competes and he's doing what he can do in a terrible situation. Haskins has just completely ruined it for himself. And this incident it started with the selfie after the game last year. That was completely inexcusable. It can't even come out for the final snap to take a knee. The immaturity has continued. And of course, Ovi says the product of Ohio State. Exactly there. The product of Ohio State, that's why these teams got to be – I mean, I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to be Dwayne Haskins. Maybe these teams got to be a little bit concerned about taking Justin Fields. But going back to Haskins, just the lack of maturity, it's got to be over for him in Washington. It's just a complete embarrassment for him. The team is right in position to win the division and get to the playoffs. And luckily they are because the division's so bad. But they're right in position to get to the playoffs, and you pull something like this. Inexcusable.
Yeah, definitely. Because, again, trying to win his job back too. Smith took it from him. Smith's been hurt. Now he can play his way back into being the number one quarterback going into the next summer, fall. And he pretty much just threw all those chances out the door. Yeah, it's just a dumb move, a very immature move, and just something that definitely could cost him in his career. I would not be shocked to see Washington cut him. Anytime now, or if they cut him anytime soon. Would not shock me right now.
Oh, without question. But we got to get to the games this week in the NFL. We'll start in the NFC East, and now we got another comment from Hector. There's completely no room for error when dealing with COVID-19, and Haskins is completely ignorant. The NFL needs to punish him, and anyone who does something like this, absolutely. I mean, you just can't happen in the middle of COVID-19. Not at all. I mean, he should be suspended for at least I'd say the rest of the season. I mean, I would say. I mean, that just can't happen. Not at all. Not in these kind of times. It's stupid. It can't happen, and there's just no need for it. But we're going to move on from Dwayne Haskins. We're going to head to the games this week, and we're going to start in the NFC East, and we're going to start with the Giants. And this is a big game for the Giants, who right now are 5-9. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be this week. We hope it's going to be Daniel Jones against the Ravens. The Ravens have been playing really well the last couple of weeks. They've gotten their run game going. They've been scoring points. They've scored 40 points the last 2 weeks against the Browns and the Jaguars. So their offense is starting to click again with Lamar Jackson, with their run game with J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram. And I do think this week, I think the Giants do contain their ground game. I think they do contain Lamar Jackson. But the problem, why have the Ravens winning this game 27-13? Why have the Ravens winning 27-13 is I just don't think the Giants can do enough on offense. I don't care who the quarterback is. And Dobie says he's believed the Giants have lost their mojo. And it's starting to seem that way. I mean, everything was going well for the Giants when they were 5-7 after beating Seattle. And then Joe Judge, who's done a really good job this year, made a huge mistake playing Daniel Jones not healthy when he wasn't healthy against the Cardinals. And then it affected him. Then he re-injured. He had more hamstring injuries. Then he had an ankle injury. Couldn't play last week. And then, last week it was just Colt McCoy. I mean, the offense moved the ball I thought maybe they should have taken a field goal on one of those two drives in the red zone instead of going for it, but the offense just couldn't do enough. They only scored 6 points. The defense just doesn't have that edge rusher, which they need. I like this defense a lot, but they just don't have that edge rusher. And in this game against Baltimore, I think their defense is going to contain the run game, but eventually I think the Ravens will score more points than the Giants, and that's how you win in football in 2020. And I got the Giants winning. I got the Ravens winning 27-13 over the Giants. But Justin, can the Giants D contain Lamar and pull the upset and crush the Ravens' playoff hopes?
It's going to be tough, but I got Baltimore being able to get the 124-13. I thought last week I liked their game plan against Cleveland. They shut down Chubb and Hunt, but again, it was Baker Mayfield that beat you. That's kind of, I think they won. They didn't think could happen. Again, it hurt not having Bradbury out there in the secondary with COVID issues and all that. But I think they'll be able to slow down their running game enough. Look, if they can get out to a lead somehow, and make Lamar have to beat you with his arm, I think the Giants could be in good shape. I still don't know though if they're going to be able to score enough points. Again, their first offensive drive, even the first half last week, they were able to drive. They just could not finish. Again, there were some questionable play calls towards the red zone on 4th down. But it's offensively, I like the way the Ravens are playing. I know Jimmy Smith, Marcus Peters are both questionable, but I just think the Giants just do not have enough offensively, and Ravens will be able to get the win. 24-13.
Yeah. I'll address a couple comments from Hector and Ovi first. With Hector, with the Giants' lack of offense, they got to get points where they can. I agree they shouldn't have done what they did against Cleveland. And when you have points, you get in the red zone, you have points. I feel like you got to get the points because they could have been up. They took the points. They could have been up 9-7 instead of being down 7-3. And then say Cleveland scores there, it's only 13-3 going into halftime, and then they got that stop for that first stop of the half, and then they down 13-3. They weren't able to really run the ball. They kind of had to abandon it and had to start throwing the ball. So I do agree there, Hector, about taking the points when you need to. And Ovi said 23-3 Ravens. And the way the Giants offense has been playing, I could see that happening. And you don't know if Colt McCoy or Daniel Jones is going to be the starter. The Ravens got one of the top defenses in the league. I could very easily see that happening. Against the Ravens. This is an aggressive Ravens defense. No matter who's playing quarterback, they're going to be blitzing a lot, and I think both quarterbacks are going to be under pressure. If it's McCoy or if it's Daniel Jones. And we got a comment from Jace. That soft zone all game was rough against the Browns. They seem scared to play man without Bradbury. That's a great point. I think Bradbury being out really hurt the Giants in that game. And I was wondering why Patrick Graham wasn't bringing blitzes. When we weren't getting there with 4, I was wondering why Graham wasn't bringing more people. I think, they were just playing zone. Baker was picking them apart in zone. I felt like even without Bradbury, they should have made an adjustment, especially maybe late in the first half, early second half, and said, you know what, we got to blitz. We got to create a turnover here. We got to get pressure on Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield's that one quarterback that if you're under pressure against Baker Mayfield, he's definitely he's a much different quarterback. If you look at his quarterback rating, it's almost like night and day when Mayfield's under pressure or not. So Graham probably should have set more pressure in that Browns game. And for me, and I'm going to talk about how maybe to defend the Ravens. To defend the Ravens, I feel like they're still going to have to play zone coverage because against Lamar Jackson, the way he runs, it's very, very difficult to play man against Lamar Jackson. But I do think they should blitz a couple of times. I hope Bradbury comes back and plays because that'll really help. Because we know on the Ravens, they don't have a number 1. So Bradbury will be able to lock up that number 1 receiver, and Lamar won't even look at him. So, maybe blitz a little bit, but they're still going to have to play some zone against – they're definitely still going to play zone against Lamar because you can't be playing man and have your backs turned to the quarterback. That can't happen. So, and Jace just said Bradbury's playing this week. So, so we'll see what Patrick Graham does this week defensively. But just at the end of the day, I just don't think the Giants have enough offense to win this game.
Yeah, same. They just don't. It's just they need that true number 1 wide receiver. They need another tight end. So hopefully they'll get in the offseason. I love their defense, but again, it's tough to keep relying on them week after week after week. They have to win you games.
Oh, absolutely. You just can't. But we're going to go to another NFC East game, and that's the game in Washington when the Panthers travel up to Washington to face the Washington football team. And in this game, I think that whoever plays quarterback for Washington is probably going to struggle because I don't think Alex Smith is going to play. I think the Panthers defense is a pretty good game. And I think that the Panthers score enough points to pull this upset. And I got the Panthers pulling this upset 17-16 over Washington. But the question is, Justin, despite Washington's quarterback issues, can their defense do enough to keep them in first place?
Yeah, I got Washington pulling it up 20-17. I think they will do enough. I think they'll get pressure on Teddy. I think they'll force a turnover too. Again, against a Carolina team, that has been a competitive a lot of games this year, but they haven't been able to close a lot of them out. And I think Washington's going to be able to close it out. But look, this defense right now, they're one of the top teams against sacks. Carolina, Carolina hasn't been, they've been pretty good at protecting Teddy. They haven't been great, but they've been all right. I think they'll do enough. I think they could force Teddy to make a turnover too. And I think that's a big difference. This is such a fun defense to watch with Montez Sweat and Chase Young out there at the end. And I think they'll do enough. But the first time, if it is Taylor Heinicke this week, the first time I saw him play was sophomore year at Old Dominion. And
really? Were you at the game?
No,
or
I
you
wasn't.
just watched it. You just watched the Taylor Heinicke play.
Yeah, well, they were playing New Hampshire.
Okay.
And I'm a big New Hampshire fan because I'm from there, so I always follow them.
Yeah.
64-61 Old Dominion. He was 55 for 79 with 730 yards.
Is he a rookie this year, Heinicke? Or
he's been in the league like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, he's been with Carolina last year.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first time I saw him. And I was like, wow, this kid can throw.
Yeah, Jace had a comment too. The Panthers defense has the Panthers have a decent defense who thrives against mediocre offenses. Yeah, I mean, they got some players on that defense. Brian Burns, I don't know if he's going to play, but Brian Burns is a good player. I know his sack numbers aren't down, but he gets pressure. Shaq Thompson's a pretty good player. Jeremy Chin is one of the top defensive rookies in the league this year. So that defense could definitely carry that team to a win. And Ovi's just commented 28-23. Panthers will win within 2 minutes of the game. Yeah, I could definitely see the Panthers pulling this upset. I mean, Washington, they competed against Seattle, but Washington is not a great team. Even though they're 6-8 and they're winning the division, they don't know who their quarterback is. So I definitely could see a Panther upset here, and I'm picking a Panther upset too.
I definitely could see it. I really like this Washington defense, and I've seen Taylor play Heinicke. I think he can do enough. He's got a strong arm, and not the biggest runner in the world, but I think he'll do enough. I think he'll help this team get the win.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening there. But we got another NFC East matchup in Dallas. Our guy Jared Jones, his Cowboys are still in it as the Eagles travel down to Dallas to face the Cowboys. And in this game, I think this is going to be a close game. But I think Jalen Hurts continues to play well against this Cowboys defense. I think Miles Sanders has a good game on the ground because the Cowboys have trouble stopping the run. So I think the Eagles don't have a problem moving the ball. But I do think the Cowboys move the ball on the Eagles. I think Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb is a pretty good game because there's a good chance Darius Slay won't play. So I do think the Cowboys move the ball on the Eagles. But I got the Eagles winning at 27-20 because I think the Eagles, at the end of the game, they'll make that stop against the Cowboys. And I think Jalen Hurts will outplay Andy Dalton. And I think the Eagles win close. And we'll see if they end up staying in the race because Washington would have to lose for them to have to stay in the race. But I think the Eagles win close to get their 5th win. But Justin, Andy Dalton, the Cowboys have won 3 in a row, and they've been hot. Do they continue to stay hot and win their 3rd straight?
I think Philly's gonna pull it off. I think I got Philly 26-23. This Cowboys team has really been playing well. They forced 7 turnovers the last 2 weeks, and they haven't. I believe that they haven't turned it over once. So they're doing a good job defensively, really turning you over. But Jalen Hurts has been done a good job of protecting the football for the most part. And he threw 1 pick, fumbled once as well. As long as he takes care of the football.
As Ovi says, Jalen will hurt the Cowboys. I agree.
I think he will. I think this Philly offense does enough against this Dallas defense. Dallas playing better, but I think right now the Eagles are still playing a little bit better than Dallas is. But again, I'll give both these teams credit for fighting. I know they're both still in the race, so it makes sense. But I like the way Hurts is giving this Eagles team a spark all around, and I think that continues going down to Dallas and picking up the win, and hopefully for them having a chance to win the division in Week 17.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The NFC has been interesting. We'll see what happens there. But we got to talk about your Pats, who are out of the playoffs for the first time in 12 years. The last time they were out of the playoffs was when Tom Brady got hurt in 2008. They did go 11-5 that year, though. But this is the first time the Pats are out of the playoffs. They're facing Josh Allen, and Josh Allen has been red hot. I got the Bills winning. I got the Bills beating the Patriots this week, 31-60, and here's why. Without Stephon Gilmore, I think that the Bills offense throw the ball all over the Patriots secondary. Beasley will have a big game. Stephon Diggs will have a big game. I even think Singletary and Moss have a pretty good game on the ground. So I think the Bills move the ball on this Patriots defense. And I think for the Patriots, I think, again, they're going to struggle offensively. They might have some success on the ground with Sonny Michel, but I think they struggle offensively. And Cam Newton is playing. I don't know why he is, but I think he'll struggle a little bit too. He might make some plays, but he's going to make a couple of mistakes too. And I got the Bills winning this game by 2 scores. But, Justin, we know the Pats had success the last time against Josh Allen. Can they do that again to avoid their first losing season in 2 decades?
Yeah, that's not happening. Right, that's not
Justin knows that for sure.
No. This is a different Bills team. This Bills team, this offense right now, they're just on fire. Josh Allen's playing some really, really good football right now. He's slinging all around the field, and this Pats team, unless J.C. Jackson's been good, but he's better as a 2 than a 1. With no Gilmore, that really, really hurts us now. I just don't see it being able to slow him. Look, the one thing though, J.C. Jackson was, leading the league in interceptions, was snubbed from the Pro Bowl. So again, maybe some added fire. I don't know, but Cam Newton hasn't scored a touchdown in like 2 games. I don't get it. We got no shot to slow down this Buffalo's offense. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the game Monday night.
No,
I know the Bills have been waiting to have a beatdown like this for a while.
Oh yeah. I think it'd be the first. I think it'd be the first big beatdown since 2003 when they beat them 31-0 on opening day when they beat the Pats. I mean, that'd probably be the first. I think this will be the biggest Bills win against the Pats since then. But here's the biggest question over the Pats is, why is Cam Newton still starting? I mean, why don't you just get a look at Jared now that it's over? Get a look at Jared Stidham. See what you have in him. I mean, you're not going to make the playoffs. Cam I don't think he's been pathetic this year, but he's been average at best. I think he's been below average, but you could say he's been average at best. But get a look at Jared Stidham. See what you have. See what direction you got to go in the draft. At this point, I don't know if 2 games are going to change the opinion of what the Patriots are going to do, but just see what you have.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. I'm tired. Look, I like the move right at the beginning of signing him, but look, it's done. His shoulder is just too far from, being able to be able to play in this league right now at this moment. Again, it's just the same thing every week from him too. I just have to play better, but it's already week 16. If you're not, if you still don't think you're playing your best ball week 16, then I don't know. It's going to be, again, this just shows that they don't trust Stidham, and they must think Stidham is worse than Cam Newton, which I don't even know if that's the case. Because I know he had that one throw in the Rams game, they scored a touchdown, but I don't know why you don't give Jared Stidham the start. I don't think he is going to be the next franchise quarterback, but you never know until you see him play and go out there. I just don't get it. A lot of Patriot fans are tired of it. And the other thing is too, he really struggled to throw the ball until the 4th quarter, and it was 80-degree weather in Miami, Florida. Now you on a Monday night game in New England, which actually the temperature says 40 or 45, which actually
that's not bad for December 28th too.
No, I figured it was gonna be like in the 20s or 30s. So still, like if it takes them 3.5 quarters to loosen up that shoulder, you're playing in Foxborough in December. He's not gonna be able to warm up that shoulder. It's gonna be again. I'd be shocked if we score a touchdown this week. I really would. Or I just never thought our offense just needs totally just rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really the only players you got the only pieces you really have on that offense now, because Edelman will probably be gone after the end of the season, is Jacoby Myers and Damian Harris. Those are really your only pieces. Not like they're great players, but they're really your only pieces.
They're pretty much.
And the offensive line, skill guys, the offensive line's good. I'll give you that.
Yeah, the old line's pretty good. We'll see what happens with Andrews. And then I do like Devin Asiasi. I see some potential. I know he's not ready. I do see some potential in him. Maybe another year or two if he could stay on the field. I do like him at tight end for later down the line, but yeah, not at the moment. Right now, yeah, Myers and Harris. Hopefully N'Keal Harry can step up, but again, I think I'm the only Pats fan that just still has an ounce of hope left for him.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't much hope left for N'Keal Harry. But we got to get to the rest of the Week 16 slate. And we got a huge game in the AFC as the Colts travel to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. The Steelers have been really struggling, losing 3 in a row. Colts have been hot. They've won 3 in a row. Something's got to give here. But I do think, and the Colts are a road favorite, which is crazy with Phillip Rivers past his prime. They're a road favorite against the Steelers. Who would have thought that, 4 or 5 weeks ago? But in this game, I think the Steelers snap their losing streak. I think their defense does enough. I think they force a turnover, and maybe they score off a turnover where the Steelers offense doesn't have to score a lot of points. The Steelers offense right now is a mess. They can't run the ball. Big Ben can't throw the ball down the field. They pretty much got the win with their defense. And in football in 2020, it's very hard to win games with your defense. I don't care how good your defense is. So I think that this is a close, low-scoring game. I got the Steelers win at 20-16. More so, I just can't see both these teams being 11-4. I feel like all year long that the Steelers were a really good team, even after despite the last 3 weeks. So I just can't see the Colts with Phillip Rivers past his prime being 11-4. That's why I got the Steelers winning it, and I got the Steelers winning 20-16 over the Colts. And I'll get to Jace's comment. Big Ben looked more past his prime than Rivers on Monday, and I might have to agree. Big Ben has fallen off, and the thing about Big Ben versus Rivers. 2004 draft. We all know that draft that Eli was in. We all know that draft class. Another comment from Ovi. Colts can win this game. Steelers are not the same, and they sure aren't. And the big reason why they're not the same, and a lot of people say they can't run the football. I think the biggest reason they're not the same is Big Ben has just fallen off in the second half of the season. He has looked 38 years old. First half of the year, he looked like a top 10 quarterback. Now he's played like a bottom 10 quarterback. And that's the big reason why the Steelers are falling off. And this leads to my question, Justin. We know the Steelers offense has struggled the last 3 weeks. Does that continue for them to lose their 4th consecutive game?
I think it does. I got the Colts winning 24-14. And actually on Monday, this game opened, like before the Monday night game, the Pitt was actually a 3-point favorite. Now it's Colts up to a 1.5 favorite. So had to turn there, obviously. But yeah, Big Ben had 19 yards in the first half against the Bengals defense. That was their Super Bowl, and I give Zach Taylor and that team a lot of credit for the way they played. But that's still the Bengals defense. They have 19 yards passing, and the problem is too they can't run the ball. So again, I don't see the Colts. I don't see the Colts coming out here, respecting their own game. They can kind of just sit back and try to let Big Ben pick them apart. And I don't think that's going to happen. Big Ben's not that type of quarterback anymore. And I think that's really going to hurt him. Again, Phillip Rivers outdoors. It's probably going to be cold in Heinz Field this week. I think it's like 35. So, maybe Rivers isn't that sharp either. But I think with all the, with the injuries we're seeing with Pitt losing Dupree as well now for the year, I just don't think that the Colts the Steelers won't have enough to win this game, and I'll take the Colts to go on the road 24-14.
We got a let me see. Thanks, Chiefs. Falcons and Chiefs. So the Falcons head to Kansas City to face the Chiefs this week in Kansas City, and I think the Chiefs win this game. I do think the Falcons score some points because I think they move the ball on the Chiefs defense, but I think that Mahomes has a big day, throws 3 or 4 touchdowns, and I got the Chiefs winning 34-20. Justin, who you got?
Yeah, I got the Chiefs 35-24. I think the Falcons will be able to put up some points, keep it close early. But I don't think the Falcons will be able to obviously keep up with Patrick Mahomes in this offense right now. And that's why I'll take the Chiefs at home 35-24. And Matt Ryan's not great outdoors as well. And you're going to Kansas City in December. So I'll go with the Chiefs.
Browns back at MetLife Stadium this week as they go to the Jets, who won their first game last week. And before we talk about the Browns-Jets game, here's the biggest takeaway for me from that Jets win. you can't blame the players for going out and winning a football game. That is their job to win a game. You can't blame them. But obviously it's a horrible loss for the fans because knowing what they could have had for the next 10 years. Because, you know, the front office and the coaches, they're probably going to get fired at the end of the season. The coach is definitely going to get fired. We don't know about Joe Douglas, but you can't blame players and coaches for going out and winning a game. They did their job. But the thing is the fan base, it's devastating because of what you could have had and what you could have had for the next 10 to 15 years. So, and it's just very unfortunate for the Jets right now.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the Jet fans. It's tough. You think you have Trevor Lawrence, you go out to LA and you somehow win that game. And yeah. And the thing is, I think they're better suited for that second pick. When I saw them win Sunday, I think it's much better suited. Because look, Sam Darnold, and I give Sam a lot of credit. He's coming out here and trying to prove to the Jets fans and that organization that he wants to be here, that he doesn't want to be replaced. I know I've given him a lot of heat, but again, I've liked the way he's been playing lately. And I think they're better suited to get that second pick because now you can get, you can trade back if you want. You can get some extra picks because they're not one pick away with Trevor Lawrence. I know Trevor Lawrence is going to be the big guy, but they're still not. They're not one quarterback away. Obviously, they're not a Trevor Lawrence away from being a contender. And Joe Douglas had not been a bad drafter either. He's drafted pretty well.
Yeah, he did draft Mekhi Becton. He didn't draft Quentin Williams, but he did draft Mekhi Becton. That was a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give him that. Denzel Mims we will see what happens with him, but we'll see what Joe Douglas ends up doing.
So I think they get some picks. They trade back if they want. If the Bears really want Justin Fields at number 2 or somebody else, again, I think they could be better suited at second. I think it could be a blessing in disguise at the moment for Jets fans.
Yeah, we'll see, because they could trade down and maybe get more picks. We definitely could see what ends up happening there. Before we talk about the Jets Browns, I just want to get to a comment Hector made. Falcons will take a 17-point lead and lose it in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I honestly, even though they're playing the Chiefs, I can see that happening because there's no team in the league that knows how to blow games more than the Falcons.
No.
Absolutely not.
No, the Chargers don't even.
Yeah, because the Chargers beat the Falcons. So there's no team in the league blows games like the Falcons. But getting to the Browns-Jets game, I think it's pretty obvious for me what's going to happen. I think the Browns have success on the ground with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think Baker Mayfield continues to stay hot. And I think Myles Garrett and Olivier Vernon get pressure on Sam Darnold and shut down this Jets offense. And I got the Browns winning 28-10. Justin, who you got?
I'm going to say the Jets keep it close. I got a 27-20 Jets. I don't trust the Browns as a double-digit road favorite going on the road.
You don't trust the Browns at all. You didn't trust the Browns last week.
No, I guess I'm starting to believe more in the Browns, but I still can't take them to win by more than 10 on the road. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I like the way the Jets are playing. I think they do keep it close. I think it could be a letdown spot for the Browns. We'll
see. Bears head down to Jacksonville to face the Jaguars, and I think this should be an easy win for the Bears. Montgomery stays hot. Trubisky keeps playing well. Bears defense shuts down Gardner Minshew. I got Bears 27-9. Who do you got, Justin?
Yeah, I'll take the Bears 27-17. I think the Jags would keep it close early, but I think the Bears settle in later in the game, and they shut down the Jacksonville offense. They should win.
We got a meaningless game down in Houston between the two 10-loss teams. The Bengals head down to Houston to face the Texans. And I got the Texans winning it 31-24 just because they got Deshaun Watson and the Bengals don't.
Yeah, I got Texans 28-17. I think Cincy coming off their Super Bowl victory against the Steelers, I think this could be a spot where again, they could really not show up. Again, that was their season right there. I see the Texans be able to take care of business. Watson should have a big day.
We got a huge game in the NFC West as the 9-5 Rams try to avenge their loss to the Jets last week as they head to Seattle to face the 10-4 Seahawks. And in this game, I think it's going to be a close competitive game. I got the Seahawks winning at 23-20, and here's why. I think that Cam Akers isn't playing for the Rams, so I think the Seahawks are going to shut down the Rams' run game, which I think Jared Goff's going to turn the ball over a couple of times. I do think the Rams' defensive line is going to get pressure on Wilson, but I think Russell Wilson will make more plays and less mistakes, and that's why I got the Seahawks winning the NFC West on Sunday, just like I predicted in one of my articles a couple weeks ago. I got the Seahawks winning the division on Sunday, and I got the Rams going to 9-6. But Justin, can the Rams D get pressure on Wilson and take back the lead in the NFC West?
I could totally see it. I do have Seattle getting the win though, 24-21. The first meeting, the Rams did get 6 sacks the first time. They forced Wilson to 2 or 3 turnovers. But I just don't see Russell Wilson being swept this week this season by the Rams. I know the Rams probably been practicing for the Seahawks for 2 weeks because they
they weren't ready for the Jets.
No, they were not. I think they skipped the Jets week and got ready for Seattle last week. But I think Seattle at home. I don't like picking against Russell Wilson at home. I know there's no fans, but still, going up there, it's still a tough place to win. I think he does enough. I think he plays better than he did the first meeting. I think he's been playing better the last few weeks. And they're going to be able to go on the road and get revenge against the Rams. But yeah, this should be a good one. They'll get pressure on him, but I think he'll make less mistakes this time around.
Staying out west, we got an AFC matchup of 2 5-9 teams in the AFC West between the Broncos and the Chargers. And I'm going to take the Chargers here just because I like Justin Herbert a lot more than Drew Lock.
I'm going to take Denver to go on the road and get the win 27-24. I heard this stat the other day, Steve. The Chargers special teams have cost the Chargers 80 points this year.
That's got to be the most in the league.
Yeah, which was I think by a landslide. So that's almost 5 points a game, I believe. And how many 3-point losses they've had? A bunch. So that's been the difference maker. I think Denver does enough, and I don't trust the Chargers to close out a game. So I'll take Denver.
We got a big game on Sunday Night Football as the Titans, who are battling in our CMG Sports Game of the Week, as we got the Titans, who are traveling to Green Bay to face the Packers. And this should be a really, really interesting. It should be a really interesting game. I think this is going to be a fun and entertaining game. I got the Packers winning at 31-27 because for the biggest reason, the Titans just cannot get off the field on third down. They can't, and I don't think they're going to against Aaron Rodgers. I think Rodgers has a big game through the air. I think he throws for over 300 yards. I think he throws a couple touchdowns. I do think, though, that the Titans run the ball with success. I think Derrick Henry has another big game. I think it goes for over 150 yards, too. So I think this is a back-and-forth game. There's going to be a lot of scoring. I don't think there'll be any punts in this game. But I got the Packers winning this game close to clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC. But here's my question, Justin. Can the Titans control the clock and spoil the Packers' chance to clinch the number 1 seed?
I think they do. I got Titans 31-28. The two things, the Packers are not great at stopping the run. I think Derrick Henry's the best running back in the game. If you can't slow him down or you can't bring him down, it's going to be a long day for you. And the other thing is, too, that I'm not impressed with the Packers are, they don't play a full 60 minutes. They play hard for a bit. They got out to the quick 21-3 lead last week in Carolina, I believe. And again, they let Carolina right back in the game. I just, until the Packers show me that they could put it together for 60 minutes against somebody, I don't really trust them. I know they went on the road and beat the Saints, but the Saints weren't playing great back then. I think Ryan Tannehill plays well enough. I think he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I think they run the ball with Henry and they keep it out of Rodgers' hands long enough. And I think Tennessee goes on the road and wins this game. I just don't really trust the Packers. I just don't know what I'm going to get from the Packers in the big game right now.
Yeah, and Hector says it best. Offensive battle, air attack versus ground attack, and he's 100% right about that. It's going to be one of those games there. And yes, we've seen this with the Packers so many times. They played against a team that could run the ball really well. We saw it against San Francisco. They ran the ball right down their throats. We even saw it against Tampa Bay early in the season. When a team gets physical with them, their defense has a lot of problems. And sometimes their offense doesn't even come back and they don't even fight back. They don't fight back. They don't compete. So we've seen this with Matt LaFleur team. So I would not be surprised if the Titans pull this upset against the Packers. The Packers right now, yeah, they're 11-3, but they've been a little bit unimpressive. I mean, they've lacked sense of urgency. They've lacked a sense of urgency at times. So even in that Eagle game, they're up 21-3. Eagles cut the lead to 20-16. They get that big run from Aaron Jones. to put the game away. Even last week, up 21-3, ended up winning 24-16 against Carolina. They really have lacked a sense of urgency under Matt LaFleur. That's why this is definitely a number one seed. If they do get a number one seed, definitely a number one seed. Say you win a wild card game, you definitely want to play because you know that team's going to be rusty and you're coming in playing them with a win.
Yeah, especially it's definitely tough to go out at Lambeau, which definitely gives the Packers a huge favor. But yeah, lack of urgency. Even that Colts game, they were going down to the end of regulation to go. They had a chance to go win the game, and it's like
they just didn't. It was terrible. Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah.
It's a lack of urgency. That's a great point. And again, I think the same thing could happen again this week against the Titans. The way Titans could control the ball with Henry.
Absolutely, that's going to be a fun one to watch. Our CMG Sports Game of the Week: Packers and Titans Sunday night. So that should be a great one.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, roll floated to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have any fights to talk about this week, but we are still here. And Jared, hit me with that flurry.
Thanks, Jace. This is John Wright. John Wright's the man I contacted from a rehabilitation program almost exactly 7.5 years ago. After speaking with John, I flew to Nevada to begin my fight against alcoholism. It was strange going through one of the most traumatic events of my life with a complete stranger, but John was friendly, knowledgeable, educated. He'd been through what I was going through, and it made him easy to talk to. We spoke before I left to go to the program on the plane during my flight, and then he picked me up from the airport. He was one of the counselors during my stay. He coordinated my discharge, and when I left, he dropped me back off at the airport. During my stay there, I met 47 patients. When I left, I tried to keep track of as many of them as I could. And to the best of my knowledge, to date, 21 of those 47 people that I attended that rehab program with are dead. 21 of 47. If you're actively struggling with addiction, remember that this thing doesn't discriminate. It will take you from us if you let it. So by all means, give someone you care about an opportunity to help. Give someone that cares about you an opportunity to help. Give me an opportunity to help. Give a complete stranger an opportunity to help. You may be pleasantly surprised like I was with John Wright. But by all means, give yourself an opportunity to live the life you want and deserve. The ability to ask for help is evidence of strength and not weakness. But John Wright, he didn't ask for help. John Wright relapsed, and John Wright died. Today would have been his 50th birthday. I only wish I could have been there for him the same way he was there for me, but I didn't get the opportunity. Great people don't feel burdened when they are asked for help. They feel honored. So give us the opportunity. Thank you, and remember to join us every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Throwing Jabs.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event.
HHW Show Podcast returns January 5th with a new season, Road to the Royal Rumble. Hector, Frank, Jason, Ovi will be on the set with the latest news and takeaways. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and you can listen wherever you listen to your favorite podcast app. It's finally here. It's the college football playoffs. Joe Aguirre, Jace Garcia, Sean Scanlon, and myself will get you caught up with the news in college football. Plus, a review of the New Year's Six bowl games, predict the Heisman winner, and a special invite to our Capital One Bowl Mania Challenge. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It's All Four Downs Podcast presented by the CMG Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drawing About the G-Men, the Giants Football Podcast. I'm your host, Big Jace, and I will be joined shortly by Ovi Muniz, Joe Aguirre, and Sean Scanlon. But before we get things started, let's address the Giants. And boy, oh boy, that was a hard game to watch. That soft zone coverage, Baker Mayfield eating it up. That was just not the Giants that we've seen the past couple weeks. These past 2 weeks have been tough, been very, very tough. And then we had that struggle. Joe Judge choosing to go for it on 2 4th and goals. It was rough. But guys, there's still hope. There is still a shimmer of light that the Giants can get into the playoffs. And a shimmer of light the Giants can take the NFC East. So we have to believe. If you are a true Giants fan, you have to believe in Big Blue because Daniel Jones is back and we got this. We got this. Let's go. But first, let's bring on the rest of the crew and let us talk about last week's game. Starting off with you, Joe. You switched your pick during the pregame show, and, man, it did not pay off.
Well, it's funny. I originally said the score would be 20-13 Browns, and then I changed it to 23-22 or some nonsense like that. I should have stuck with my first pick.
Yeah.
Look, I think I want to be clear about a couple of things. Trevor Keys yesterday on Keys to the City referred to the Giants' success earlier this year as fool's gold, and I said, no, I don't think so. I think this is a team. When you look at the run the Giants were on, the 4-game winning streak, which, as I mentioned before, could have been an 8-game winning streak had they finished out those 4 games like they should have and could have, where, again, you'd be talking about a completely different New York Giants football team, but unfortunately, we're dealing with what we're dealing with. Overcoming the loss of Saquon Barkley, getting this defense to play well together, fixing the offensive line, who have obviously struggled the last couple of weeks. Although they played better. They played better this week for sure. It made sense to go with Colt McCoy. I tell you what, guys, I didn't hate the going for it. I'd have preferred 3 on that first drive, but I like the aggressiveness. I thought coming out with McCoy throwing the football around a little bit, I enjoyed that a lot. I thought that was great. It really helped loosen things up for the Giants. But end of the day, their biggest problem is what I've been saying for a few weeks now. It's still very glaring. When you need a completion, when you need to make a big play, there's nobody you can rely on. There's not that one stud guy to rely on, and it puts the Giants in a really tough spot. The defense, look, we could criticize the zone defense, but without James Bradbury there, I think that the defense had a pretty tall task. The secondary's a little bit banged up. Without Bradbury, I think the idea was to let Baker Mayfield beat him. and Baker did what he's been doing. Was just good enough to win. And I mean, at the end of the day, giving up 20 to Cleveland, when you think about how that defense played and you think about the lost opportunities the Giants had, this isn't the worst loss that these guys had, honestly, in my opinion. The fact that you just gave up one sack, I still am optimistic. I just feel like, look, the Giants have too many things against them. But to me, the Giants can hang with anybody in the league, and I think once you get a healthy Jones and a healthy Saquon Barkley, and you add some sort of offensive talent in the draft, I think you're looking at a really good team. I don't know how this year is going to end. I'm not as optimistic as I was a couple of weeks ago, but it'll be interesting to see if Daniel Jones is healthy, he comes back, what he can do. And if he's healthy and he can be productive, I still think the Giants, if they make the playoffs, could win a playoff game. I think now the giant task at hand is whether or not they're going to even make the playoffs, Sean.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the going for the fourth down on the first drive, but I think when you're in a big game like that and you know that you have an offense that struggles to score the ball, I think that you have to come away with the points and kick the field goal there. I think you got to set the tone early, especially when you're going against a team that's one of the better teams in the NFL. You got to get on the scoreboard, and instead of trying a fake field goal, and not just on a 4th and 2 or a 4th and inches, it's on a 4th and 5 from the 8-yard line. It's a pretty significant chunk, and you go out there with your punter and you're throwing to your starting center who's in double coverage. I just didn't like the play call at all. I think that, in a big Sunday night game where, you're trying to make your stake in the playoffs, you're trying to go for a playoff run, you have to be able to get on the board in a game like that. When the other team is going to be scoring points too, you can't come away on a great drive too. They drove right down the field. Colt McCoy looked good. The running game was there. So, and that's not going to happen a lot in these games with our offense. So you got to come away with points there, I think. And I don't mind the aggressive approach because I did like the second time they went for it. I thought that was a more manageable situation, 4th and 2, running the ball with Wayne Gallman. I thought that was fine. But I think that first decision to go for it, I think really changed the momentum of this game. I think it could have been a lot different if it was a one-score game later in the game. So I think that definitely had a big part to do with why we were down so much later in the game. And then you mentioned the loss of Bradbury, but also Darnay Holmes, our starting slot corner. That has a lot to do with it. Our secondary obviously was getting torn apart by Baker all game. I think Kevin Stefanski did a good job of mixing in the play action to get Baker those open throws with the open throwing lanes. So I think Baker really carved us up, and I think it had a lot to do with, obviously missing Bradbury and Darnay Holmes. And we stepped up to the challenge against the run, but like I said, it didn't really matter. Baker and Kevin Stefanski's game plan was to, carve us up because, we weren't really expecting that. But Baker's been playing well. You got to give him a lot of credit. The past month, he's been looking really good. So, and then lastly, it doesn't matter how good our defense is. If we're not able to reach 20 points, we haven't reached 20 points in the last 4 weeks, which is despicable. The only team that scored less than us at this point in the league is the Jets. So the offense has to get better. Obviously, like Joe said, we need a playmaker on the outside. Obviously, without Saquon, it hurts, and we need more consistency from the O-line. So if we have any chance to make the playoffs in these last 2 weeks, we're gonna need to step it up from our offense for sure, because the defense is doing their part right now.
Now, Ovi, do you think at this point, after Sunday night's game, is the playoffs realistic? Is getting that top seed in the NFC East realistic for the Giants?
Right now, I mean, our heaviest task right now is getting by the Ravens. That's their next game, and then we close out with the Cowboys. It's pretty hard. We're gonna need some help. We're gonna need Washington to lose a game and the Giants to win out in order for the Giants to make it. There is a possibility, but you have to get by the Ravens, which the Ravens turned on the switch, and now they're getting hot at the right time, getting ready for the playoffs. So it's very hard to predict. I mean, what type of Giants team are we going to see this weekend? Is the offense going to score enough points to win? That is, I mean, look at the defense. The defense did what they're supposed to do. They only gave up 20 points against the Browns, is what I had predicted, but the offense did not produce. So I don't know, Jace. To be honest with you, We got to score, man. We got to score.
Now, I mean, we did have Freddie Kitchens filling in for Jason Garrett. What do you think of the offensive play calling, Zay?
Actually, I thought it was actually rather good. When you think about it, it's not really Freddie Kitchens' offense. You're calling another person's offense, and you're trying to get a feel for the game at the same time. So that could be a bit difficult when you're not really familiar with the plays other than like practice and whatnot. But I think they offensively, I think they called it a good game. I just think, again, like other guys pointed out, they were a little too aggressive on offense. There were times I think they could have settled for the field goal, made it a closer game. Probably could have went to a half at 13-12, which would have made it a much more interesting game in the second half. But, you know, we just didn't. We decided to be way more aggressive. But I think the offense, I think the play calling was great. To me, I think the problem was I think the Giants need an edge rusher. Without an edge rusher, you're really starting to see the effects of how a running quarterback can really destroy your offense. They're getting outside the pocket. There's no contain. Running backs are, they're getting to the edge. We're not setting the edge at all. We have a great interior D line, but at some point we're going to have to fill that outside with some outside pass rushing. I don't think this team will turn the corner on defense.
All right. Now, I know, Joe, you were a big advocate for trick plays. We obviously saw a couple of those last on Sunday. What did you think of that?
Look, I liked it. I liked the aggressiveness. I liked the idea that he took Jason Garrett's playbook and he tried to be aggressive and he tried to do some things. And look, if they had worked, Freddie Kitchens would be a genius.
Yeah.
But he's Freddie Kitchens, so things went the way they went. Here's the most interesting thing I think that came out. Look, the Giants lost the game they needed to win, and the Jets won a game they needed to lose, which has to make you feel good about the direction of this franchise. I said before the year I wanted them to go 5-11, get a top 5, 6, 7 pick. Right, have some idea whether Daniel Jones was a franchise quarterback or not. See the defense get better and improve and learn how to win games. And they did all of those things. And they're still in position to get a really high draft pick. I think you look at the season, we had hope for so long. And whether the miracle gets pulled out or not, I'm so happy with the way everything worked out this year. If the Giants miss the postseason, this will be the most optimistic I've been in years in missing the postseason. This conversation Trevor and I had on Keys to the City, specifically this. You can look at this Giant season and the idea that they're playing meaningful football at Christmas time and say, if I told you going into the season that we'd be here, you wouldn't think we'd have a losing record, I'm sure, but you'd be feeling really good about things just to see the way this team's developed. When we've seen a healthy Daniel Jones, the turnover is certainly an issue, but beyond that, I think this guy's got the right tools to be the right quarterback for the New York Giants. And I know Trevor likes to get all crazy when I say things like this. What I mean to say is I think Daniel Jones is the right fit for what the Giants need to do going forward. And that's obviously getting Saquon Barkley back on the field, getting him back involved in the running and the passing games, using Daniel Jones's legs when you need to. I want to see more design run plays, and I want to see more of these trick plays in Jason Garrett's playbook. And next year, when everybody back and healthy, maybe Deontay Smith out there at the 1 or whoever it might be, I think that this football team will start scoring points, and it'll be a better team. And this whole season, to me, the ups and downs and the misery and the good times and the bad, it will all have been worth it.
Now, I know, Joe, you against the Cardinals, you said your big takeaway was the definite need for a number 1 wide receiver. And, I mean, you spoke about that already a little bit with this game as well. For me, the big takeaway from this game with the Browns is the need for an edge rusher because – no one was getting to Baker Mayfield, not a lot of pressure. And statistically, he is one of the better quarterbacks. The gap between when he is pressured and not pressured is very, very big. Now, my question for you, Sean, is looking forward to the draft, do the Giants go after that edge rusher or do they go for a number 1 wide receiver in the first round?
I would probably lean towards the receiver right now because at least the defense, at least we can scheme ways to get, guys like Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence's sacks from the inside. Obviously, we need some presence at the edge rush, but right now, Lorenzo Carter, O'Shane Zimenez, and Kyler Fackrell are top 3 edge rushers out for the year for the season. So, I mean, we're going to get them back. Obviously, they're not the superstar pass rusher that we would want, but I think that going with the receiver, looking at the offense right now, we don't have that number 1 receiver that we can rely on. Shepard's a decent third down receiver. He's a good possession receiver, but he's not that game breaker for you. And Darius Slayton, we've seen him at times, obviously be a burner and be that deep threat, but other times he's been super inconsistent. I haven't seen really a big play from Darius Slayton in a lot of weeks now. He's really been he's kind of vanished from the offense down the stretch. So we definitely need that number 1 receiver. And this draft, I know I've been looking at some of the mock drafts and stuff. It's a pretty weak class for edge rushers. I know you probably know a lot more about this, Jace, because you do more college football, but there's not a lot of, premier edge rushers. And I know there's the one dude from Miami who's pretty good, but I think there's definitely more to pick from the receiver crowd. So if I were to think, I would either go receiver right now or maybe a cornerback, because other than James Bradbury, I think we still need that outside corner. So I would lean receiver, but you definitely got to look at all options here.
I also think the Giants should look offense and throw a ton of money to Yannick, who will be a free agent after the season. I'd rather see. I would rather see a proven veteran edge rusher, a guy that know's been there, done that, than to bring some young. Again, who would you even get at this point in this draft? I don't know that anybody really jumps to mind. You could probably find some pretty decent guys, 2nd or 3rd round, I would bet. I think offense is – look, the Giants don't score points in a league where you score points.
Bingo.
That's the biggest problem, and I know they keep throwing draft picks at it, but they're getting closer. You got to start scoring points, and as much as an edge rusher would certainly help, having a big play receiver would certainly keep you on the field longer and keep the defense off the field more, and just by virtue of that, you could blitz more, and you'd still be in better shape. So to me, it's got to be one of the stud receivers. I don't know that there's a ton of great receivers in the free agent market that I would want to give a ton of money to. So just from that standpoint, once again, my thought is draft a receiver and sign an edge rusher.
All right. Now,
no, Zay says no.
Zay,
that's fine.
I can agree with some points, but I kind of disagree. I feel like an edge rusher is really what's killed the Giants, not having an edge rusher. I feel like the last game, offense did a pretty good job staying on the field and having long drives and keeping the defense off as long as possible. But without the edge rusher there, Baker just walked down the field basically on us every time. Every time he got the ball, he walked down the field like it was nothing. The Giants weren't able to contain him. He got out the pocket. He rolled out. He made plays. He extended plays. They need an edge rusher. It's just simple as that. I agree with you. There's nothing in the draft. I would probably call down to Texas and see if, J.J. Watt's available, since they trade anybody. But at this point, I do believe that the edge rusher is probably the biggest thing killing them. They do need a receiver, but if you can, I don't know.
I think the one that come into mind right now, if they were to draft a defensive end, it'll be Patrick Jones from Pittsburgh. This guy's had a huge success this year with Pittsburgh, jumping from not knowing who he was. He already got 9 sacks this season. For the minimum games that's been playing for Pittsburgh, I think he is the best edge rusher right now. Or is that him or Chris Rumpf from Duke? I'm sure Jones knows him very well. I think one of those two could be picked up in that if, for some odd reason, Gettleman is able to make some trades or pick up free agency in the wide receivers. So,
are you assuming Gettleman's there?
Well, for the most part, things are looking positive. Listen, if anybody thought that the Giants were going to be finishing in a winning record, 12-4 or something like that, you're mistaken. I predicted them going 8-8. But there's a lot of positivities going in to prepare ourselves for next season.
There's a lot of breaks too. Let's be honest. Dak Prescott's still in Dallas. That team's probably the team winning the division right now. They're loaded on offense. Even if their defense sucks, we've seen in this league, with the Seahawks, especially if you could score enough points, you can win a lot of games. I honestly think Dallas would probably be the number one team if Dak was still playing right now. That offense to me is just way too loaded at receiver for them not to be number one.
Oh, okay. Well, that just kind of goes against your point for getting an edge rusher if they're so stacked on offense. And
right, you want to lose the
Giants. Yeah.
Look, I'm just saying the way they're built, the way the Giants are built, the Giants need an edge rusher to win. Dallas has built their team to win on big points. That's how it works. They built up the offense. They didn't focus much on defense. And we see it every week.
I definitely agree with you there. I know that we need somebody to rush and put more pressure on the quarterback, but the other side of the ball, we need playmakers. And that's what Joe has kept saying, that we don't have a playmaker that will get us that first down, that give us that spark to just run over the defense. You see what I'm saying?
We've never had a great receiver in the Giants. We've had good receivers. We've had your Plaxicos and Tumors. They're good receivers, but they're not Randy Moss level receivers is what I'm trying to get across.
You don't think
the Giants have been a run first team for a very, very long time.
But if you don't have a good, solid number one receiver that you can throw the football down, again, I don't need Jerry Rice. Slow down. I don't need Jerry Rice in New York is my point. But I do need a guy, and if you look at the history of the Giants, as long as I've been alive, Lionel Manuel in 1986, Bobby Johnson in 90, you need a guy.
Who did they have with Victor?
That you could throw the football to, and they don't have it right now. They don't have it. There's not anybody to go to on 3rd and 5 right now that is going to catch the ball.
Shepard is your 35 guy. He's your 35 guy. He's your slot guy.
Well, he's on all my fantasy teams, and he sucks. He hasn't done a damn thing.
He's playing a role that he's not. He was a number 2
well, then get a guy in there who should be in the role.
I don't understand how trading Odell made him a number 1 receiver.
What are you talking about then? So why would that be the guy if he's miscast in the role already?
Look, he is your slot receiver. He's supposed to be a third down guy. You need a guy for first and second. I agree with that point. But I think the edge rusher is more important for the Giants right now. This team is built to win on RPO. That's how the offense works. They don't need a superstar receiver.
I didn't say a superstar receiver. Right. I'll repeat that. But I do need a receiver I can count on. It's not Evan Ingram. It's not Sterling Shepard. It's not Golden Tate, who always wants the goddamn ball. But where is he? I never see him in crunch time. It's never open. I need a guy I can count on that can bail my quarterback out. All the good ones have a guy. Every other team's got one, not the Giants.
I think you nailed it on there. You're absolutely right, Joe.
Can't score 6 points and win in the NFL.
No, you can't.
Maybe in the 30s you could. You can't do it in 2020.
No, I agree. But I said when you build a team like the Giants have always been, a run-first team, you can get good receivers. They don't need to be superstars. You can get good receivers and still win.
They have good receivers, and they're not winning.
The Giants have always had the identity of run first and having great edge rushers. We've always had them.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that, though.
40 years I've watched
run. We have not been able to rush the passer. Those are the two things the Giants have not been able to do good the last 4 years.
Well, they're rushing the passer very well up the middle. They don't have an edge rush. That's correct.
The middle doesn't do anything for you when you guys are running. You're in a league with guys running out the pocket. You got these running backs, these quarterbacks running 4.4s and 4.3s, running up the middle. That's not going to stop anything no more. You're not stopping a Lamar Jackson because you could stop up the middle. It's not happening.
So throw Yannick a 5-year, $100 million deal, and let's be done with it already.
5-year, $100 million deal.
All right. I mean, you did bring up Lamar Jackson, Zay. Let's talk about it. The Giants go to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Zay, can they shut down Lamar Jackson's and this big running attack with J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram?
Absolutely not. The best thing we can hope for is that Washington loses with Dwayne Haskins and we can win it in the next week. I don't think this defense is built to stop this offense. I just don't see it. I apologize. I'm a huge Giants fan. I love them just as much as you guys do. This is just not a favorable matchup for the Giants this week. I honestly don't see this ending well for the Giants.
You see it the same way, Sean?
I disagree. I think this is a very favorable matchup for the Giants defense. What do the Ravens do best? They run the ball. What do the Giants defense do best? We stop the run the best. So I think even last week when I said, try and force Baker to throw the ball, I can even at least admit, that Baker is a better thrower, pure talented thrower than Lamar Jackson is. Even though, at times Lamar has these great throws, he doesn't do it consistently. And I think with our cover 2 defense, I think we could disguise him, make some disguises and really, trick him. I think the run game definitely will have success just because they have really successful backs and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, obviously. And as of recently, they've been doing it really well. But I think that, the Giants, what they do best is they stop the run. They have Blake Martinez, obviously, a tackling machine. And, they stuff the A through C gap, every gap. There's always a guy. So I like our chances to stop the run. But on the other side of the ball, that's what I really don't like is the Giants offense going against this Ravens defense. They have 2 really good cornerbacks. And like we've been talking about most of the show, we don't have a receiver that can win against them. And on top of that, they also stop the run pretty well. They have a very, very physical front seven, very big front seven, some really big dudes like Brandon Williams and Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell, obviously, who love to stop the run. So that's the matchup I really don't like. I'd be surprised if we score anywhere near 20 points in this game. I could see somewhere around 10 points. I think that's where we're really going to struggle in this game is on offense. But in terms of stopping the Ravens, offense, I think we'll do a better job with that. Even though Lamar is, I think, the shiftiest quarterback we've seen all year, even a better runner than Kyler Murray is. So I think that's going to be a problem, but I don't see us scoring any points against this Ravens defense.
Well, I mean, the last game we saw it against the Browns, when you don't put pressure on Baker Mayfield, he was able to pick the Giants apart. And last season, everyone likes to talk about Lamar Jackson's mobility. Last season, he led the league in touchdowns from the pocket. Joe, how can the Giants disrupt the pocket and get Lamar Jackson out of the pocket so he can't have time to make those decisions in the air?
Well, that's what the issue is going to be, obviously. I think Sean and Zay were both right. I mean, I think the Giants are in trouble here because while I agree with Sean, they're going to stuff the rush. They're going to struggle with contain on the edge rush. And it's going to allow Lamar to do things that Baker could only dream of. So that's a major concern. I don't think James Bradbury's back. Is that correct?
He is back. He was activated.
He doesn't have to. The quarantine's over for Bradbury. I mean, to me, that's good news. That'll definitely favor the Giants. But again, I just feel like, Sean, you also just brought it up. How many points are they scoring in this game against a defense that's been playing a lot better of late? So, again, this is just like with the Cardinals and the Hawks before that, where I said you don't want to get into a shootout with these teams because you'll lose that you have no chance of winning. So you sort of, I mean, again, the idea that you're sitting back in a zone is as much to just not get beat with big plays. Try to keep it in front of you. The other thing, I mean, you're going to have to blitz. You're going to have to make things happen and create. If you put pressure on a guy like Baker will blow it. And I know everybody loves Lamar Jackson. Same thing. And I'll say it about Tom Brady and really any quarterback. When you put pressure on him and you put him on his back a whole bunch, the decision making goes out the window. And the fact that the Giants struggle with pass rush is going to be a big problem here, and it's going to make for a long day. So if they don't figure some things out, again, having Bradbury back, maybe we'll see more corner blitzing. Maybe we'll see more safety blitzes. I think the Giants could put themselves in a position to hang in this game. I just don't feel like they're going to score more than 12 points.
Now, Ovi, what does the Giants offense have to do to put points on the board against this Ravens defense?
They got to catch the ball. They got to be open. I mean, come on, let's be real here, man. It's all about execution. If you can't execute, it's not going to happen. And then it goes back to the coach's decision. All right. I know they were doing some new things and stuff like that. Jason Garrett should be back. I'm telling you right now, they got to execute. They got to score at every opportunity. I don't care how many field goals they do. If they can't score a touchdown, they got to put points on the board because I'm guarantee. I think we learned our lesson last week against the Browns for not containing the quarterback. Yes, we could hang with the wide receivers. We could hang with the tight ends. We could lock them down. But we need to stop Lamar Jackson. If we could contain him and put some pressure on him, I got a feeling that the Giants can't pull it out. But we have to score. Bottom line. I know I'm asking too much, man. I know. But guess what? I am superstitious. I am. The Baltimore Ravens has not won more than 3 games in a row. All right. Ever. Not this season. Not this season.
This is what you're basing it on.
I'll take it.
I'm not basing on nothing. I'm just telling you that the Ravens, and look who the teams that they defeated. They defeated the Cowboys.
This is strict league, man.
They defeated the Jaguars.
If they stop them, listen.
Listen.
If I guess the
I'm not
right
done yet, homie. I ain't done yet. Come on now. The Cowboys, the Jaguars, and of course they did a shootout with the Browns. But think about it. The Cowboys, the Jaguars, they don't have the same defense as the Giants defense. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but they got the firepower on offense.
You know how many firepower offenses we win against this season? Everything's been close except for one game, and that was against the 49ers. I'm just saying. It's facts. We can kick the shit out of that ball and kick ourselves to a win. You damn right, Heck Love.
I mean,
you damn right.
First to edit himself, and you fill in the blank.
Oh my God! All
You're
right.
censoring yourself in the comments, Hector.
Hector's right. Graham Gano's been the best player on the team this year. He's been the only consistent player.
But he's not a Pro Bowler, I guess.
I don't know how.
But Dolphin Clippers' hands is.
And one more thing before we move on. The Giants have 2 games left. They know they got to win out to make the playoffs.
You're right.
All right, and that's more motivation. I know the Baltimore Ravens are almost in the same boat. They got to win for the seeding and everything else. But the Giants, I'm telling you. Maybe everyone's right. Maybe it's a 7-9 team that will make it to the playoffs. I don't know. But, hey, we have a chance. We could do it.
Just need to win one. And Washington.
No, we got to win 2. We got to win out. We have to win out. And not to think ahead, excuse me, but the last game against the Cowboys will be at home. So let's do this. Go Blue.
All right. Now, before we move on, let's make it official. Joe, who are you taking to win this game?
I am taking the Ravens 24-12.
Sean?
Yeah, that's pretty close to what I had, 24-13.
Zay?
Y'all was better than me. I got the Ravens at like a 34-6 type of game.
Ovi?
I decided I want to opt out for next season.
What?
No.
What? COVID opting out from the podcast? What?
No, I said in an R&J show that the Baltimore Ravens, the way things were, I was frustrated. I said it was going to be 23-3 Ravens. But, you know, I'm going for the blue blood here. Blue Bloods. You ready? Are you ready?
Yep.
17-14 Giants.
All right.
I like that. I'm obviously going to pick the Giants like I always do. I do think Coach Judge is going to get this team riled up and ready. I saw a little spark of that amped up Giants at the beginning of the game last week, and then it slowly died down.
I want to live in the movie you two live in.
And I mean, there one of the things that happened the past couple of weeks, obviously Daniel Jones getting hurt and playing in the Cardinals game. Against the Browns, the whole like COVID situation, coaches and players having to get out. I think the Giants are going to come prepared. They're going to know what they have to do. They're going to stop the run because that's the big thing. That's what the Ravens have lived off the past couple. This streak is they've been establishing the run. Giants are really good at stopping the run. I think they're going to come prepared. I think it's not going to be like last week. The defense isn't going to play passive. The defense isn't going Joey,
wait, are the Ravens not going to be prepared for this game for some reason?
Apparently, they're taking a week off.
Can you let me
Or
finish?
are the Giants going to be extra prepared? I'm just curious
No,
what
I think
preparation levels are looking like.
I think Joe Judge is going to light a fire under this team, and they're going to go back to the game plan that was working for them. Last week, they for some reason said, hey, let's make the offense win us the game and the defense not lose us the game. Then they're going to switch it back, and the defense is going to win them the game, and the offense is going to not lose them the game. I think the defense is good enough to keep this Ravens team that all they need to do to succeed is establish the run. That's the Ravens' recipe for success. It's like the Titans. They just want to establish the run, and then they can open the rest of their offense up. I think they're going to stop it. No, yeah, you're right.
I can't believe
1,486 to 3.
I think
what Friday night light TV show are you living in that you think they're gonna rile them up?
Yeah, he must have played.
Overcome talent.
He played the Madden game.
No, I mean it's true. They're still in it. They are still in it. I did my state of the Giants. There's no need to give up hope. I know these past 2 weeks have been rough for Giants fans and the Giants, but the Giants are still alive, and the Giants are still in it, and they can still go out there, go into Baltimore, take a win.
Somebody give him a pump, man. He's out of control right now.
Some oxygen before
give him the pump. Put the fan on.
Jace, we were optimistic because the Giants were on a run of 8 games where they were playing really well. They'd won 4 in a row. And they slow down. They're playing all right. I mean, they were playing well. If you look around the NFL, the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Saints are the only teams that have played 8-game stretches as good as the one the Giants had. They all walked away with wins in all of those stretches. The Giants ended up splitting those games. Okay? And that's the difference between the Giants and everybody else. The Giants started the season off so poorly at 1-7 that, I mean, this has been almost insurmountable to where, I mean, every loss is devastating. And back-to-back losses are exceptionally devastating. And your starting quarterback still being questionable is a huge problem. Colt McCoy's not good. We all know that. I mean, I think I said something like if he threw for more than 175 yards, it's because the Giants lost. And he went for a paltry 221, and they lost and didn't even score. So I'd love to get in your head and see what you're hopeful for. I can't imagine a scenario short of, and I hate to say this, but Lamar injuring himself on the first play of the game for the Giants to have a real chance to win this ball game.
Oh, he needs to take another dump again.
I'm telling you what's going to happen. They match up well. Look at the past couple games. The Ravens, they've had success when establishing the run. The Giants, even last week, even against the Browns, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt couldn't get it going.
What was that final score? And what was that final score?
On Baker Mayfield.
And what was the final score?
I understand that, but still, one of the best running attacks
teams find ways
NFL.
to win. The Giants aren't that good yet. I don't believe playoffs should dictate the Giants' season. Like you said, we started off terrible. The fact that we're even in this position is a blessing. We should be happy that we have something to enjoy and watch. But playoffs or not should not dictate how good or bad the Giants season was.
No, I'm not going to accept that. This whole show, we've talked about how great, how I'm happy that they're going up and they're moving in the right direction. I'm not going to accept that. This Giants team is still alive. This Giants team is still alive, and they can make the playoffs. They're going in the right direction, but this could be
all right,
Jace.
So bottom line is, and this game is a major factor because the Baltimore Ravens are playing for the playoffs. The Giants are doing the same thing. Giants is trying to win the division. They got to win the next 2 games. For the Ravens, they got a lot of pressure also because Miami's in front of them, and they need to win to secure a 7th spot because this season The top 7 per each conference are going to the playoffs. So right now they're tied with Miami at number 8, and they need to win the next 2 games as well. So it's going to be tough, but you're right. Good teams find a way to win at the end, and the Giants are not there yet. However, if we maintain the Ravens to a low-score game, control them in the first half, we have a chance to win. And that's a long shot. But I'm going to take from you, Jace.
They just last week put up 47 points on a team you just scored 6 points against.
Absolutely.
That's a big, you can't ignore that.
You're right. But the Browns defense does not stop the run like the Giants defense.
Apparently they do, because they stopped us on 4th and 5th.
Yeah, they were.
I don't know what game. Were you watching the game? They stopped us every time.
Do you think Wayne Gallman is as good as Mark Ingram? And you think Colt McCoy is as good as Lamar Jackson running?
We do know that the Ravens execute better than the Giants right now.
Yeah.
No, but if it's a 41-point differential, Jace, then there's zero chance the Giants are winning, is essentially what you just pointed out.
No, he pointed out that there's more talent on the Ravens who they're going to be playing this week. Like, what are you saying to us? Yes,
I'm not.
By the way, Daniel Jones is starting this game. I just read it. Joe Judge says he's committed to Daniel Jones this week, next week, and forever. He's the starting quarterback forever, according to Joe Judge, as of right now.
He's healthy.
See what happens when you take Eli for granted?
I'm buying all that Joe Judge is selling. I'm gonna be this crazy guy. I'm gonna be the Giants guy, because there is still hope until the final whistle blows of the final minute of the final second of the final quarter. I'm going to have faith, and I'm going to believe that the Giants can get a win. And, I mean, we talked about it with the Seahawks. A lot of people counted it out, but they match up well with this Ravens team.
Jace, I agree with you. I like Judge just as much as you do. But do you realize 2 of his decisions this year has cost the Giants big? One being playing Daniel Jones against a team he should not have been playing against because he was not healthy against the Cardinals. And 2, being as aggressive as he was last week for no apparent reason when you take the field goals and you got a 1-point game at half. Do you realize his judgment calls has put the Giants in the hole that they're in?
And do you realize that it's still Judge's first season as a head coach?
Mm-hmm. You gotta accept growing.
If you accept players, rookies, to make mistakes, you gotta accept the head coach as well. Joe's like, oh my God, no.
That's a great point.
But you're right.
That's a great
I'm
point.
right. Am I right?
What do you mean we have to accept it? What does that even mean? I don't understand. I'm not following the logic here.
What?
Not exactly.
He wanted to be aggressive.
You just have to understand. You have to understand where it's coming from.
He's a 38-year-old, still first-time head coach. He's going to have his growing pains, and even I agree, Isaiah, that last week it was questionable call, but I don't think it really I don't think that it changed the outcome of the game though.
If that game is 12-13 at the half, that is a completely different way you play the second half.
Yeah,
you manage it completely different. But when you put them in the hole that you have them, now they're coming out throwing the ball, like Joe says, with a quarterback who isn't that good at throwing. And you don't have receivers for that.
I agree. It changed the game plan for sure. It changed what the Giants had to do in the second half, but I don't think that the Giants had any chance of winning that game, even if they get those 2 field goals, because they weren't going to get it in the end zone. I mean, that's how they had to win the game, is to punch it in the end zone. They obviously weren't getting that done. So I agree. I agree that he's had some mishaps, but like Ovi said, he's a 38-year-old.
7 field goals to win that game.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It would have been definitely a closer game, but
I will take 7 field goals over a loss. I'll give Graham Gano all the points.
we still would have lost either way. That's all I'm trying to say.
All right. I'm getting.
I like the energy though, Jace. I do agree.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
it's a week-to-week league, man. You never know.
Jace, if he
benches
this is the most shocking thing I've ever seen.
Hector knows what he's talking about.
All right, he said he kind of agrees with you. Calm down.
Challenge.
He said kind of like
match up well.
He said kind of like you made 1 or 2 decent points. He agreed.
Hey, I'll give you good news. So I can make you happy. You ready? Should the Giants defeat the Ravens and Miami wins, the Ravens are eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh, so they're not going to be motivated at all or prepared, according to Jace.
He took the week off.
I didn't say that.
The Giants are going to be prepared and they're going to win the game. Well, what does that mean for the Ravens? The Ravens are just sort of hanging around.
Basis for my argument for the Giants is they match up well with this Ravens.
The Ravens have been practicing the Ray Lewis dance all week, apparently.
All right, enough. I'm just losing my brain right
Ray
now.
Lewis is going to be at the game. You'll see.
They don't have Judge's rah-rah speech. That's what it is. He's going to fire them up before the game, like Jay says, right? Because that works.
All right,
I would imagine
keep talking about
John Harbaugh's probably a rah-rah guy.
That the run game, that the Giants can stop the run game, and that's where's that? I'm saying they match up well.
The run game. We already said that.
All right,
everyone concedes the Ravens the run game.
And the basis for the Ravens' running streak is their win streak is their success running the football. None of you challenge that.
But you know Lamar's thrown 21 touchdowns, right?
It's not the extended plays.
Yeah, because they can set up the run.
You know he's also run for 800 yards, right? And 7 more touchdowns.
All right, which quarterback has run on the Giants that much?
Well, Baker did last week. But mostly they just get in the pocket and pick the Giants apart. So I don't know, is that what you prefer? Or
then when he left the pocket, he did the same. He rolled out and did the same.
Yeah.
Just hit Jarvis on the run.
And another thing that got us also in the game was the play action passes. It did kill us. It really did.
One more point I want to bring up, and this goes back to something that Zay's totally wrong about, the idea of a number one sort of a big stud receiver. There were 2 plays in the end zone that I think if it's any other team and any other receiver, it's pass interference. When it happens to the Giants, no flags ever come out because the Giants receivers don't have the respect of referees in the NFL. Plain and simple. That's why in 2020 NFL, you do need a big-time number one guy. He doesn't have to have 120 catches, and he won't for the Giants, but you need a guy who has respect in the league, somebody like Plexico Burress did, because, I mean, it's notably absent.
He wasn't a big name. He just had a great physique. He was 6'5".
He was a great possession receiver, and anytime Eli needed to complete a pass, it went to Plexico's hands, and Plexico didn't drop him.
Or Toomer.
He had the height and the hands, so he shot himself.
Let's forget Toomer was there.
I love Amani Toomer. Again, you're talking about when I say, that's the kind of guys I'm talking about. Again, I'm not saying it's got to be Jerry Rice. It doesn't have to be like Randy Moss, but it's got to be somebody as reliable as the guys we're talking about. Guys like Amani Toomer, who you knew when Amani Toomer got the ball thrown, he was going to catch it and he was going to get a first down. He wasn't going to catch it and fall a yard short. That's what the Giants don't have. Also, a big receiver that can go one-on-one with a small corner and catch a ball over his head. Haven't had that in a long time.
Metcalf, I said that. Nobody wanted him. He can't run routes, apparently, right?
All right. Okay.
When you're that fast, yeah, and that tall, you don't need to run routes. Just jump over people. That works too. I'm with you.
Bradbury. But let's move on to the CMG Sports game of the week. The Sunday night game, the Titans go to Lambeau Field in Green Bay to take on the Packers. Joe, who's coming out victorious here?
Oh, boy. Well, I'll tell you what. I hate the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing all season, I'll be honest. I think despite the usual MVP-type numbers, something doesn't feel right with me and Green Bay. I love the Titans. I feel like this is the kind of year where the Titans are doing everything right. Again, when we talk about run-first teams, A.J. Brown's a pretty good one guy when they need him. And he comes up big week in and week out. And don't sleep on Ryan Tannehill when you start talking about best quarterbacks in football, because the guy's quietly put up a superior year to most. I think the Titans win this game. I think they do it obviously on the strength of another big Derrick Henry kind of day. So I'm going to take the Titans at Lambeau in an upset.
Sean?
Yeah, I agree with Joe on this one. I'm going to go with the Titans. I think that they're going to get Derrick Henry going often and early against a bad Packers run defense. I think that they're going to take advantage of that. And then once they get the run game going, like Joe said, they can get the play action going to A.J. Brown and Corey Davis, two really good receivers. And Tannehill, ever since he's been entered into the starting lineup for the Titans, he's been absolutely balling out. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He's mobile in the pocket, and he's got a really strong arm. So I like them a lot. The Titans defense hasn't been great this year by any means, and they're definitely going to struggle with the Packers receivers and their passing game. But I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game between the two. I think it's going to be a really exciting Sunday night game. But I'm going to take the Titans by a score 34-27.
I like that score too, Sean.
Sounds
Hector stole my thunder on that one. He did. Hector stole that from me. Because I was going to say the same thing, man. The Packers, they look suspect when they go against playoff contenders. The Titans is fighting for first place in the AFC South. They're currently tied with Indianapolis. And then you got the Packers already clinched. They're still, playing for that first-round bye week. But if Henry could protect the ball and run, because a couple of weeks ago he was fumbling. So hopefully he could secure that ball. And I got a feeling the Titans can't pull it away and give Green Bay a loss. And besides, the Titans play better on the road than when they do at home.
Zay?
Well, all that is true. And you guys I had to check my notes to make sure I was going with my picks still. You almost convinced me to change it, but now I'm going with the Packers in this one. Lambeau, December. I'm taking the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers has just been playing lights out lately. I like the way he's been playing. I thought he wasn't going to come into the league this year and do nothing. They didn't do anything in the draft. They added another quarterback. I thought he was on his way out the door, and he's proved me wrong and everybody else wrong in the league. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in this one.
Yeah, of course Green Bay's going to do good. They've been playing teams they're below 500. Of course they're going to play good. Come on, man. Be real.
Come on. He's got one receiver, and he throws to him every play, and it works.
Oh, my God. Please stop.
Come on.
He doesn't have one receiver.
And besides, it's going to be nice and warm in Green Bay. So what about Green Bay weather? Get out of here with that.
Nice and warm.
Listen, I agree with all you, but Zay, I'm going Titans. I think we're going to see a similar we're going to see a similar matchup to what we saw when the Packers faced the Niners in the NFC Championship game last year. They're just going to run the ball, pound the ball, eat up the clock, control the game. Tannehill might have less than 10 passing attempts. They'll be for big gains with A.J. Brown and Corey Davis, but because they are studs. But I do like Derrick. He's just going to establish it. They're going to eat up the clock. They're going to do what the Giants usually need to do to win. Keep this defense off the field because this defense is not that good for the Titans. And I expect Aaron Rodgers to light it up, but I think they will keep Aaron Rodgers off the field as long as they can with that Derrick Henry ground game. And he will eat, and the Titans will come out victorious. I know Ovi's got to go set up for all 4 downs. We will see you there. Make sure you guys tune in right after this show for all 4 downs. So take care, Ovi. But now,
put me up one game.
All right, okay. I mean,
I'll be up one game on you guys.
I mean, you got a lot of work to bring back. Look at those win percentages. Look at those win percentages. Now, Joe, I believe it was you the other day that said 63% is an expert win percentage. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I did.
I am an expert. You guys are not.
I'm just about an expert.
But you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
Sonny wants to round up to the 63 mark and call it a day.
That's what we're gonna do here.
I'll let him have
We're
it.
gonna round up. We're gonna call me an expert.
All right, but I will say what we are not experts in, especially last week, is the best bets.
Yeah.
Starting off with myself. I mean, I at least had a push. Last week with the Colts. They only won by 7 against the Texans. I thought the Texans were just going to pack it up, move on to next season. But they showed a little bit of life, kept it a one-score game. But this week, I'm taking the Chargers, Justin Herbert against the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos can go into LA and beat Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
You got to get rid of that line. You just got to throw it away.
No. Justin Herbert lights him up because he looked fantastic Thursday night against the Raiders. He's going to continue that and dismantle this Broncos defense. Hey, I'll go out on a limb here. I will say the Chargers themselves will score over the 48.5. Now
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I got this game in my head as 27-21.
Okay. All right.
He's just being a
and I'll flip out, and you'll receive a call from me screaming at you, Joe, if that happens.
He's just messing with you at that point, yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not. Joe has been V1 with success this last week. That's not Joe. But yeah, Joe won with his Bills pick against the Broncos. And now this week, Joe, you're taking the Rams against the Seahawks?
I'm going to take the Rams. They're going to come back and they're going to beat the Seahawks after that humiliating loss to the Jets last week.
Okay, I like that a lot. So you saw the Jets as a look-ahead game?
It was definitely a look-ahead game, and that's what happens when you have look-ahead games. Again, the team trying to lose, you actually made them win. If that's not motivation to get your act together after that humiliation, I think, again, to me, it's just been that weird kind of year. Of course, they're going to go from losing to the Jets to beating the Seahawks. That's how it goes in 2020 NFL.
All right, now let's get to the cavalcade of losses that we had with the best bets. Starting off with you, Sean. Rough. You took the over in the Packers-Panthers. Did not pay off. But now you think the Colts?
24 to I thought it hit like 43 points was the total.
Ooh,
yeah.
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, two good offenses that I expected more from. But this week I'm going to be going with the Colts plus 1.5 or minus 1.5 against the Steelers. I think if you watch the Steelers the last 3 weeks, it's pretty easy bet. I think that I compare the Steelers to the Patriots from last year. They have an aging quarterback who's not that great. They started off with a really good start. The Patriots started 9-0. Steelers started 11-0. They have a historical defense that really isn't that great. They've just been playing an easy schedule. So I think they're the same exact team. And the Patriots lost in the first round last year. So I think they're very similar teams. I think the same thing is going to happen to the Steelers. They're going to continue to blow it down the stretch, and I think the Colts will win easily. The Steelers, as of the last 3 weeks, are one of the worst teams in football after starting 11-0. So that's my best bet of the week.
All right, now Zay, you went with the Bucks and Falcons under. It was a pretty high scoring game. Obviously, went over
by 8.
Yeah. So
didn't
now
that extra touchdown and 2-point conversion. What's up?
Hold on. Let's be honest. No one saw Atlanta coming out to a 27-0 lead. I don't think anyone saw that, and I damn sure didn't see the Bucks coming back from that neither. Or maybe I did. It looked like the Super Bowl again. But these are the risks you take when you go against the books, and the books know better than us, and I learned the hard way. But this week, I'm taking the 49ers. I think giving them 4.5 against the Cardinals is going to be more than enough. I think the 49ers have been playing excellent as of lately. I actually haven't been playing that bad considering what they have left. And just not a fan of the Cardinals, not really a believer in them, really.
But
I think the Cardinals again.
I mean, the Niners are starting CJ Beathard, and they also just signed Josh Rosen because of all their
wait.
And they just lost to the Cowboys. How are you going to say they're playing excellent?
I missed that. I apologize. I must have missed that. Oh.
All right, we'll put an asterisk next to this one.
Yeah, go back on that one. You look back on that one. Hold on.
I want to see how this one plays out.
Oh, well, whatever happens, there's still an asterisk. We'll put it.
Hold on. Maybe I was.
All right, well, but while you figure that out, OV had a really bad beat, picking the Eagles +6. They ended up losing by 7. Now he's taking the Titans against the Packers. I mean, we 4/5 of us agreed with the Titans taking it. And then Steve took the Bucks, didn't pay out. Closer game than people thought. He's doubling down on the Bucks against the Lions. I think that's a lot more favorable. When then Trev,
I got the Bucks winning this one by 9, so that's tough.
Ooh. And then Trev, Mr. SpongeBob SquarePix himself, who went and picked the Packers -8.5. That was an even worse beat than OV. So that's really, really rough with the half point off. But now, I mean, he might face the same problems that Zay had with the Falcons because he's picking the Chiefs -10.5. That's a big, big spread. So we will see.
No,
but now
he won't have the same problem. He won't have the same problem. Only the Falcons could do what they did. Blow a 27-point lead.
Still the Falcons, even though it's against the Chiefs. The Falcons.
I got the Chiefs winning that one 37-27, so I think he's in trouble.
2 weeks in a row off by a half a point. But let's get into fantasy locks. Well, let's take a look at last week. I mean, OV had the big winner with Jalen Hurts. I'm showing Trev how easy it is when you pick the square picks. So I obviously had to go with Josh Allen. Get me in second place. I don't feel good about it, but it got me second place. Steve came in third. Kyler Murray. Then we got Travis Kelce with Zay, Robert Woods with Joe, and then a tough bottom at the battle for the bottom of the barrel. Austin Eckler edged you out, Sean, over Trevor with Devontae Adams. But now let's get into this week. Starting off with you, Joe. Who's your fantasy lock?
I don't remember, honestly. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my bad. We had a whole thing about this earlier today. I'm sorry I froze for a minute. I did earlier see the graphic, and I thought, hey, I'm glad there's a picture of Mark Andrews. He's my fantasy lock this week. Yeah, I think Mark Andrews is going to have a big game against the New York Giants. I think he's probably going to end up scoring a touchdown. Might be the only touchdown that the Ravens score, but I see him being very productive. The Giants typically do get into trouble when they play against top linebackers. I know the Giants definitely have a better secondary than in years past, but this is going to be the guy Lamar is going to look to get the ball to. I think with Bradbury back, I feel like the receivers aren't going to really offer much in the way of help for Lamar. So I think it's just going to really highlight Mark Andrews. And like I said, there's at least a touchdown in it for him this week, maybe even 2. I think Mark Andrews is definitely your fantasy lock of the week.
All right. Now, Sean, you're staying with tight end as well?
Yes, I'm going with the best tight end in the league and Travis Kelce. I've been terrible with the fantasy locks this year. It seems like every dude I pick only scores around 10 points. So I'm gonna have to go with the SpongeBob square pick, as you say. I'm gonna have to go with Travis Kelce to try and get in the leaderboard here and try and win this one. So yeah, Kelce, I'm going with.
And now, Zay, you're picking. You're riding off a little bit of what Ovi's been picking the past couple of weeks. You're going with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, actually, now that I look at my notes where I messed up, I had my odds next to my fantasy lock. That's why I messed up. But Jalen Hurts is what I had, and he's been actually playing really well of late. And I think, again, he played really well. He's actually been the number one fantasy player, I believe, the last 2 weeks in a row. And I believe he's actually going to make it a third week in a row. So I'm going with Jalen Hurts this week, taking probably one of your SpongeBob square picks, if you want to call it. Go Hurts in this one.
All right. And then Ovi went with Patrick Mahomes. Steve went with Derrick Henry. And now we got our first fantasy locks bet between me and Mr. SpongeBob SquarePix himself, Trevor Keys from Keys to the City.
It's terrible.
If I win with my pick, I have to wear an Ohio State shirt for all the shows I do during the week. That is Hard Hitting Wrestling Show. That is this. That is All Four Downs and Throwing Jabs. But if I win, he has to wear a Utah, the Utes back there, that banner. Well, my camera's a little messed up. The Utah Utes shirt on his show. And Mr. SpongeBob SquarePix himself is copying me from last week, taking Josh Allen, but I raise him. One, he takes a Mountain West quarterback. I take a Pac-12 in my boy, the one I've been telling you guys about all year, even last year, Justin Herbert, baby. Joe, I know last week you became a believer a little bit.
Look, he definitely had a huge week. He definitely played really well. He's definitely, they come off that 45-0 game. They've had a couple of close games. They pulled out 2 wins. One of the things we talked about all year with this team was their inability to pull out games. So for me, I think if you're a Chargers fan, you have to admit I was right, but they figured it out, and they've now started to win all these close games. They've got the Broncos this coming week, and then they close things out with the Chiefs. So to me, I think if you're a Chargers fan, you got to be excited about that. You get a chance to watch your guy go up against Patty Mahomes in the last game of the season. I think it'll be fun for them to watch, because I think that while the Chargers certainly aren't going to win that game, it'll be a lot more competitive than it would have been earlier in the year. And now that you've got your team playing a lot better, the defense was garbage earlier this year. They vastly improved. Who knows? I'm not saying they're going to beat the Chiefs, but I bet you they'll make that game real interesting.
Yes, sir.
Does Mahomes play the last game of the year?
Maybe. And if he doesn't, then they definitely win it. And that's certainly feather in the cap.
Yeah,
you really say that?
Now, before we sign off.
Yeah. I'm from like the 1800s, apparently.
All right, before we sign off, I need your guys' input on this bet between me and Trevor Keys. Who will do better in fantasy, Joe? Josh Allen or Justin Herbert this week? Josh Allen against the Pats or Justin Herbert against the Broncos?
Herbert against the Broncos, to me, seems like the safer bet. Yeah, I think you're going to be all right. But I'll let you know, Trevor owes me a shirt wearing that's never happened. So we'll see if he pays
I'll make
up.
sure it happens. Sean, who's going to win?
I'll go with Herbert. Broncos and Pats both have some pretty good secondaries, but I believe in Herbert. I've been saying all year that I think he's the rookie of the year. So I'll go with Joe's favorite, Justin Herbert.
Am I going to come out victorious here?
No, because you didn't take Jalen Hurts. But this is a tough one, honestly. Probably gonna say Josh Allen though. I feel like he's got the bigger game. Like you said, it's the game of the week. And I feel like he's gonna come out and perform like it's the game of the week. So you might be in trouble this week.
All right. But that is going to wrap up, John, about the G-Men. Before we say adieu to you, this is brought to you by Clovercrest Media Group. Make sure you check out clovercrestmedia.com for this podcast, along with a plethora of other podcasts, not just sports, politics, comedy, true crime podcasts. Make sure you check it out at clovercrestmedia.com. And also make sure you check out this show on a plethora of different podcast platforms. I know we're on Amazon Music now, Stitcher, anywhere you can get podcasts, John About the G-Men is. And for myself, Joe Aguirre, Zay, Sean Scanlon, and Ovi Muniz, take care. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
Guys.
Happy holiday.
Enjoy the game
this
week. Yes, sir. Festivus for the rest of us. Enjoy the games this week, and we will see you next week for more Giants football. Peace out.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floater to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman.
What you saying, what we saying, prime.
Speaking of those Lakers, but I hold on. But I didn't make my. I didn't make. I said Denver's gonna win.
Yeah, you did. You said that. There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.